Before we jump into our wrestling talk, let's talk hydration. See, I carry something to drink with me every single place that I go because I am concerned about being dehydrated. It runs in the family. Everything from dry mouth, dizzy spells, fainting. It's pretty serious. And I've tried all the different types of waters and sports drinks. Let me tell you something right now. Liquid IV. That has been the most efficient at keeping me hydrated and doing so pretty quickly. Okay, Liquid IV has 5 essential vitamins and is 2 times faster at keeping you hydrated than water alone. And I'm serious, man. Everything from vitamin C to vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12. Liquid IV also is non-GMO, so it's free from gluten, dairy, soy. So for all you folks out there with food allergies, this may be right up your alley. And I know what you're thinking, but how does it taste, Duke? Well, it tastes pretty good. Okay, we're talking my favorite in pina colada. They also have tropical punch, strawberry, new flavors like sea berry and strawberry lemonade. You can enjoy this stuff, man. But don't take my word for it. I want you to stop what you're doing right now and head over to liquidiv.com. Use the promo code DukeLovesWrestling so you get 20% off your entire order. I mean, anything that you order on liquidiv.com. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to shop better hydration today. Use the promo code DukeLovesWrestling over at liquidiv.com. Save yourself 20%. Stay hydrated. Most importantly, enjoy life. That's right. Now let's get on with the show.
Locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
This is Danny G, and I'm wicked smart, and you're listening to Duke Loves Wrestling.
Soft ground wrestling. This has become an interesting saga to keep an eye on. And I know, Danny G, you've been keeping an eye on it. So let me start from the beginning, because I did an episode about it. But now that I have you, Danny, you can help me paint a more clearer picture of what's going on. So for the listeners out there, soft ground wrestling is a group of individuals who are located in Uganda, in Africa, and they put on, I don't know if you want to call them events, but they posted YouTube videos of themselves doing wrestling moves to each other in dirt. And it went viral because it's very interesting to see these young people, men and women, essentially, mimicking wrestling holds with each other. And you can tell they're passionate about it. You can tell they're having a good time. And hey, as wrestling fans, it's cool to see the infectious nature and love and appreciation for pro wrestling. It's great to see that from different perspectives. I will say that it does look pretty dangerous, unfortunately, because these are not trained professionals. That's clear. But I'm not going to knock that. At the end of the day, it's nice to see people care about wrestling. I'll leave it at that. So it went viral, and people were sharing it online, and you got, mainstream media even commenting on it, just saying, oh, that's pretty cool. Somehow, some way, that evolved into somebody named Jake setting up a GoFundMe with a limit or a goal of $10,000. And throughout the life of the GoFundMe, which is still up to this moment as we speak here, throughout the life of the GoFundMe, a lot of the specifics regarding what the money is going to be used for and why this Jake person is the one who set up the GoFundMe, who's going to be the beneficiary of the money, how is the money going to get to Uganda because this Jake person is actually in Pennsylvania, United States? What's Jake's connection to our Ugandan brothers and sisters of soft ground wrestling, there was a lot of questions that, as they were answered, the story kept changing from hour to hour, day to day. It was just bizarre. The whole thing was bizarre. Now, there were a lot of kind-hearted people, nearly 300 of them, mind you, and a number of them pro wrestlers, who donated to this GoFundMe. And in a very short amount of time, they hit their $10,000 goal. I don't even think it took 2 weeks. So they hit their goal, and then some. It's over $10,500 right now. So the Jake person said that they're willing to answer any questions that people have. So, of course, Danny G, he hit me up, and Danny asked me, hey, is this legit? Do I have the facts right up to this point, Danny?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because the reason I sent it to you, and I'll let you finish in 1 second, is because I was ready to donate. I was getting ready to donate, and then you and I have had several conversations about how I feel about GoFundMe in general in the past. So I wanted your opinion on it, so I sent it over to you.
And that's cool. And folks, the reason why Danny sent it to me, I mean, look, I've been doing this show for almost 8 years now. And we have a lot of connections in the pro wrestling industry. You've heard Hall of Famers and kids starting off in wrestling, trainers, the whole 9 yards. So Danny knew that I could flesh it out and at least ask some other people, hey, what do you know about this? Gather some information. But also I have some experience in recognizing scams and things that aren't on the level. And that has to do with my, I guess you want to call it my shoot job and my shoot life. I have some experience in investigating stuff like this. So I looked at it and I told Danny flat out, I said, there's something off about this. I don't know if it's legit or not, but at first glance, something is off. So I started asking questions of this Jake person. Hey, you're in the United States. They're in Uganda. What's your connection with them? Do you even know them? And the answer to that question is no. Jake reached out to them once he saw their viral video. And then it was he who offered to set up a GoFundMe and help them raise money so they can buy themselves a ring, so they can pay for rent, for the land that they're on, all kinds of interesting things that kept slightly changing, again, from hour to hour, moment to moment there. So I said, okay. So then the Jake guy told me, hey, just inbox me. So immediately he wants to take my questions from the public sphere and go into the private sphere to talk more, which is very strange. And we did have a conversation. And this Jake character got very upset with me because I told him, I said, this seems like it's a scam. And the reason why I say it seems like it's a scam is because, number one, GoFundMe is not available for folks in Uganda. Can't do it. You can't receive money from GoFundMe directly if you're in Uganda. So that's number one. It's not a country that GoFundMe operates within. Number two, I said that to the Jake guy, and he's like, well, I already know that. So I said, well, if you already know that, why aren't you telling everybody that? Why are you claiming that you set up the GoFundMe for soft ground wrestling and the person who leads soft ground wrestling, Boombosh Daniel is the guy's name. You set it up and he is going to be the beneficiary of the GoFundMe funds. And you already set up his PayPal, so the money's going to go directly to his PayPal, and Jake is never going to be in charge of the money. And I said, well, that's not true. Again, because GoFundMe does not operate in Uganda. So then Jake says, I know that. We're going to find another way. And I said, well, why don't you tell everybody who you're soliciting money from that you're going to find another way? That doesn't make sense. The other thing that didn't make sense, and then Danny, I'm going to bring you in a moment here. PayPal. PayPal, you cannot receive money from outside of Uganda with a Ugandan PayPal account. It's not possible. You can look up the PayPal terms, and folks, don't take my word for anything. Look up everything that I said to verify everything I'm saying, right? You cannot receive funds from outside of Uganda through PayPal. It's not possible. If you're in Uganda, you can receive funds from other Ugandans with Ugandan PayPal. You can send money outside of Uganda to other nations, but you cannot receive money. Now, why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Uganda is a sanctioned country. They are horrific when it comes to human rights issues, especially as it pertains to LGBTQ+, which they just put a law on the books recently where they literally outlawed being LGBTQ+. If you're in a same-sex relationship or anything like that within the LGBTQ sphere there, they can not only arrest you, they can kill you for that. That's the law in Uganda. So the United States has sanctioned them. The World Bank doesn't want to do business with them anymore and said that they're going to stop doing business with them. Uganda's in bad shape over that. In addition, they got many issues as it pertains to terrorism. Terrorism is on the rise over there. And it's so bad with people getting kidnapped, including Americans who visit Uganda, by the way. It's so bad that our State Department have designated Uganda as a level 3 country. They are literally telling you, do not go there. Same thing for Canada, same thing for the United Kingdom. They all are telling you, do not go to Uganda. It's not safe to travel there. It's not safe to be there, especially if you are not a native of Uganda. So those are the facts. You can look all that up. Those are the facts. So I found it kind of strange that this person named Jake, or identify themselves as being named Jake, in Pennsylvania is setting up a $10,000 fundraiser through GoFundMe, claiming to be utilizing PayPal, and somehow all of that is going to get to this Boombash Daniel in Uganda to help pay for soft ground wrestling rings and their rent. None of it made sense. I identified it didn't make sense. The Jake person got very upset with me and started cussing me out and saying a lot of crazy things to me about suck this and get off my private parts and all kinds of weird stuff. And the way they were interacting, I said, okay, this sounds like a kid. So I said, are you an adult or are you a child? What the hell's going on here? And the person got even more upset about that. Come to find out, jumping ahead, because there was an article written in Pennsylvania, some newspaper out there. It's a 17-year-old high school kid. So ding, 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 ding. This is a person whose brain is not even fully developed. And clearly they're lacking direction and guidance because they're speaking to adults in that manner and talking about private parts and sexual acts and things like that, which is it's very unsavory and ridiculous. So something's wrong there. And I think the kid is having a hard time admitting that they did not know what the hell they're doing. And they've made a lot of mistakes in trying to create this whole situation of helping soft ground wrestling in Uganda get funding. I think the kid just doesn't want to admit that they were screwing up and they didn't know what they were doing. Because if that's not the case, then that means the kid has purposely deceived everyone that they solicited over $10,000 from, which is a whole other issue, if that's the case. So that's the long and short of it for now, from my perspective. Before we give an update on what's happened since, I'm going to stop there. Danny G, you got anything to add to that part before we give the latest update?
No, that all sounds about right to me. It's yeah. I think we're on the right path here.
So there's an individual who suddenly was named as the beneficiary for the GoFundMe funds, an individual by the name of Harmony. And it's like, well, who the hell is Harmony?
Yep.
So in the meantime, this Jake character keeps giving these weird updates. Oh, everything is going smooth. I'm going to start transferring the money now to Boom Bash. And then, an hour later or a day later, oh, we were having some issues on my end and Boom Bash's end with getting the transfer done. I'm going to have to go to a community bank and all. So here we go again. I thought you said you would not be controlling the money. If you're going to a community bank and you're going to have to set up some type of different fund and all that, that means you got to do a transfer. If you got to do a transfer, somebody has to do the transfer. Somebody has to control the money. Who's controlling the money?
And I don't. That would have to be an adult, correct? I don't think it.
That would have to be an adult, Danny G. Great point.
Because I just know, like, even in fact, when you open up just a simple bank account for your kids, it can't even be a checking account. It has to be a savings account. And generally with savings accounts, you can't do transfers to other banks from a savings account. It always has to be some type of a checking account.
And even when the kid opens the bank account, they got to have an adult there with them to do it.
You can't open up your own bank account until you're 18 years old.
So, which makes a lot of sense, because how the hell is a kid under 18 making money like that? You know what I mean? Somebody's got to help them get to that point.
Yep.
There's a whole legal process that exists here in the United States for all of our listeners outside the United States who may not know. There's a lot of legal hoops you got to jump through in order to do certain things, especially when it comes to banking. A child can't just walk into a bank and open an account. It's not happening. So a child is certainly not going to walk into a bank with $10,000 to transfer over into a bank account and say, hey, once I put it in this account, then I'm going to ship it off to a nation that's been sanctioned by our government.
Yeah.
It is a hotbed for terrorism. Like, it's just not happening, right? It's not happening. So Jake gives an update and says, hey, we're making Harmony the beneficiary. And this is a family member who is then going to handle the transferring. And then it turned into what? He named an app that was not GoFundMe, that was not PayPal. What was the name of the app, if you remember?
Like Airtel or something like that.
Yeah, said he was going to use something called Airtel to get the money to Boom Bash, and everything is going smooth. And the transfer should happen in the next couple of days and all this. And then there was another update. Oh, that didn't work out. So now we're going to have to use Remitly or whatever the hell that's called.
Yeah.
And then through that, we're going to have to use another app.
Yep.
And then he started talking about, because you and I kept asking the questions, how much money per transfer is going in? Is this going to be all in one? Or, what's the limits? Like, what are we talking about here? So what did he say about how much money he'll be transferring per day?
It was a $2,999 limit. Then it was a $3,000 limit. And then it became, I believe, a $1,300 limit through, I believe it's through Telegram is how he ended up being able to do it. I'm actually looking at it right now.
So he used some app. He used some kind of app that allows you to transfer funds internationally.
Yeah.
But the amounts kept changing.
Yeah.
In terms of how much the limits were per day to be able to transfer. And then, ironically, suddenly, all the money appeared. Oh yeah, we transferred all the money over. It's all done.
Yep.
So it went from we got to do it day by day to, oh, it's done.
Oh, there's actually an update on here.
This is breaking news, folks, in real time here. Breaking news. We got an update. What do we got here, Danny G?
Just looks like there's actually two. The first one is it was on March 6th. It looks like on March 6th, GoFundMe has been transferred over to Boombosh. After GoFundMe's transferring funds, it came to roughly $10,130. Through the help of our friend Sophia, we were able to send them all of our money on World Remit over the past few days. That's funny to me because I thought Harmony was the one transferring the money. That's one. And then the second one is SGW has secured its future as of today. They have used $2,400 on the money to rent their land for another year without worry. They spent $300 of it on training equipment, $1,200 on food that will last everyone for 3 months, and $1,200 on a venue equipment for their first official show, Pearlmania, which I also find very interesting because I've done a little bit of research and I don't have I can't say this is definite, but I've done a little bit of research on the Boom Bosch guy, and it does seem like he has owned, him and another gentleman own some type of an entertainment business, whether DJing or discoing and stuff like that. And if you do watch some of the videos, they do have quite a bit of equipment over there filming this stuff. So I don't understand. My point with this is, if this is enough, if they have enough money to operate and run a business, why did they need a GoFundMe to be able to do this? Because I also went through and watched the video on YouTube, basically the informative video about what SDW is. And on that video, it says flat out that the students have to pay money, and they also have to meet certain qualifications before they are accepted into the program, which to me is a business transaction. You are paying somebody to do you a service, to teach you how to do a trade, in a sense, teach you how to wrestle. So if they are able to collect money from people and to be able to do these things and to be able to have this high video equipment, etc., why did they have to solicit funds from other people? And the most alarming thing to me out of all this was, right after those funds were transferred, the very next day, there was a video posted by this guy, which has since now been deleted because I questioned why he posted this on the video, saying that he needed sponsorship to be able to come to America to see a WWE event or go to WrestleMania. To me, that was the most scumbag thing I have seen out of this whole process. You just got money from kind-hearted people, and now you're asking for more because you want to be able to take yourself overseas to go to a wrestling event? What about your students? What about the people that you're supposedly helping do this? You know, it's supposed to be a community organization. I don't know. I just see things differently than other people, but I just feel like there's a lot more to this. And I honestly, I do feel like it's a scam, and I do feel like an underage kid was taken advantage of.
So that's an interesting perspective here, because you feel that if there is a scam going on, Jake, if that's his name, I guess in the article they did identify him as that's his name, so I'll go with that. Let's just say Jake. So you feel that it's actually Jake who has been taken advantage of in terms of the scam. They utilized him to do something they shouldn't have been doing, correct?
Yes. I mean, I don't think they sought him out to do it. I think the young man maybe sent an email or something saying, hey, you know, this is great stuff. You know, what can people do to help, or something like that. And I think that they may have seen an opportunity. I mean, who knows? But I find it extremely funny that you're able to do all of these things. You'll be able to post these high quality videos on YouTube. You're able to, you know, have equipment for people. You're able to do all of these things, but you couldn't figure out a way to earn money for yourself. It doesn't make sense to me at all. And I mean, on their Twitter page, you can't send them direct messages. They never tag anybody in the posts. They've never tagged Jake. They've never tagged Sophia V. They've never tagged anybody who has apparently done all of these nice things for them. And people come back at you and say, oh, you know, when people do nice things, they don't need the recognition. No, they don't need the recognition, and maybe that's not why they're doing it. But you would think that these people would want to acknowledge that other people have gone out of their way to help them. And to me, it just becomes a situation where it doesn't look right. You know, and again, maybe I'm just bitter, but I honestly see a group of enthusiastic young men and women enjoying wrestling and almost being used as a way to make extra money for somebody. That's just, I guess that's just how I feel about it.
All right, so let me qualify that. When you said a group of young men and women, so you're talking about the quote unquote wrestlers,
correct?
Or the folks who are you know, trying to portray themselves as wrestlers of soft ground wrestling. You feel they're being utilized in order to enrich Boom Bosch.
I mean, yeah, he is. He's making them pay to be there. You know,
Yeah, and that's according to him. That's what he said. Yeah, you can't take that back.
they have to be there. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's you know, and it's them that are in it's the wrestlers that are in the videos that are going viral. It's not him. It's not anybody else. It's the wrestlers. So it's it seems to be like he's using it for personal gain. And I mean, I don't know how much a wrestling ring would cost in Uganda, but I know in the United States it's $10,000 just to start. And that's a simple Google. So if they've already used half of the money on other things, where is this wrestling ring that the original GoFundMe was supposed to be for? And why do they need a wrestling ring when they're not even being trained properly how to wrestle? I've seen the videos. I mean, they're not landing properly. Not that I really know, but people are landing flat on their back. They're being power bombed onto hard ground with rocks, etc. I mean, that's not safe. I mean, it's you can't criticize these kids that do backyard wrestling here in this country that jump through lighted tables and stuff like that. It's irresponsible and it's not safe. Someone is going to get seriously hurt, and I don't think that'll make it onto any of the videos.
Good call. Good call. I agree with everything you said there. Based on what you see, you see that if there's a scam going on, it's from the Boombosh Daniel side. So it's not even the folks who are doing the wrestling with soft ground wrestling, and it's not the kid, Jake, in the United States. It's this Daniel guy. And I see your point in that. I definitely think that there's a lot of smoke that could lead to fire as it relates to that, because it's clear that Boombosh Daniel is not a fool. And I don't think he's ignorant either. I don't think that he's confused about what's possible and what's not possible. But I do think he's enterprising. I think that he's somebody who will find a way. And certainly he's found a way. Now, that update that you just gave, I didn't know. I didn't know that Sophia V, who's been a guest on this show numerous times, I didn't know that she stepped in to make that transfer a reality. I'm not surprised. And now that I hear you read that update that comes from Soft Ground Wrestling, or did it come from Soft Ground Wrestling? Were they the ones who said it was from Jake?
That was on the GoFundMe.
That's on the GoFundMe. Okay, so here's what I'll say with that, because how is that possible? Well, first and foremost, Sophia V, she's Ugandan. She's based in the United Kingdom, but she's Ugandan. And those are, her fellow country people, so to speak, the Soft Ground Wrestling folks. She did not know them initially, but she found out about it. And, she had reached out to me and told me flat out that she felt that I was being a little too rough with them, and that I shouldn't question Jake so much because, maybe he's a kid and he just doesn't know what he's doing, and it's okay because at least he's stepping up to help Soft Ground Wrestling and they need him. And I said to her flat out, I said, well, wait a second. If he's a kid, what are they doing working through a kid to get international banking done? That doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't they be speaking to adults? Or this Boombosh Daniel, he's an adult. He's over 30 years old. Shouldn't he be talking to an adult to get this done? What does he need a kid for? Well, nobody else is helping them. And I told her, I said, well, Sophia, did they make it clear that they needed help in the first place? I did not see any solicitations from them or them asking for help before this Jake guy got involved. So to claim that, well, no one else is helping them, no, they never asked for it. So
that's a very good point.
There's that, right? Because I'm pretty sure if they asked for it, you got all these folks, over 300 people, almost 400 people donated money to you. I'm sure somebody within there would know how to do something. So there's that. And then she said to me, well, Jake helped them go viral. Jake did not help them go viral. They were already viral. That's how Jake found them in the first place. This is a kid who had very little to no footprint in the pro wrestling sphere to begin with. He's a kid. So it's not like, and he didn't have many followers at all. In fact, when I interacted with him that first time there, he had less than 500 followers. This is not somebody anybody knew who the hell he was. So, of course, he could never facilitate international banking. He doesn't know what he's doing. He gets this Harmony person who had the same last name as him, so they're related. Maybe it's his mom, maybe it's his sister, his aunt, who knows, guardian, who knows. Um, he makes them the beneficiary. They just thank Sophia for helping get the funds to them in Uganda. So what probably happened is that Harmony had to transfer the funds to Sophia in the United Kingdom. And then Sophia from the United Kingdom found a way to transfer the funds to Uganda. And since she is Ugandan, she would know how to transfer money to Uganda. So that was their workaround, so to speak. I'm telling you right now, folks, the whole thing is bizarre. For the Jake person, 17-year-old kid who's speaking, in a very ridiculous manner to adults, shouldn't even be interacting with adults at his age to begin with, online, not the way that he's doing. This kid has no guidance. And shame on whatever adults are in his life who are not monitoring him and giving him the attention that he needs, because I'm pretty sure if they were, he wouldn't be talking to people the way that he talks to people. So let's start there. And if they were, and if they had even half a clue, they wouldn't be encouraging their loved one, a 17-year-old kid, to be trying to facilitate international banking with people in a nation that's sanctioned. And that's a hotbed for terrorism, especially considering the fact he doesn't even know any of them. It's not like he could have ever done any research on them to figure out and make sure that they're, including this Boom Bash guy, is not some kind of criminal. This is a child whose brain is not fully developed, doing things that he should not even be doing. But shame on any adults in his life who didn't, correct his behavior. That's unfortunate. So to that Harmony person, you need to get your act together. Something's definitely wrong with you, in my opinion. And that's unfortunate. To Sophia, who I know, in her mind, it's you do what you got to do to help her fellow country folks there in Uganda. I question her. And I actually said to her directly, I don't think it makes sense that you're soliciting your followers when you don't even know if this is legit or not. And, her attitude was the ends justify the means. Just help. Don't worry about all that. So to Sophia, I just say I'm disappointed in the way that you've conducted yourself. And, certainly she's not ever going to be back on this program, because I can't trust that this is a person who's operating in a reputable manner. In fact, I'm concerned that this person is not operating in a reputable manner. And I'm never going to have somebody who's soliciting and telling my audience, hey, go follow this person, which I've done in the past, by the way. I've told people, check out Sophia. How can people reach you? How can they follow you? All that good stuff there. I don't feel comfortable doing that anymore, because if you're sending your followers to go fund something that we don't even know if it's legitimate or not, and even when she and I first talked about it, she had no clue if it's legitimate or not, but she said, hey, take a chance. Who cares? That shows that you don't respect your followers. And I don't, I'm not down with that. I have a problem with that. So there's that. And let me just say to all the adults out there who have encouraged all of this, shame on you. What are the legal implications if this money that Boom Bash Daniel has right now does in fact go to something illegal? What are the implications of that? We got this kid Jake and his family member Harmony. They're going through all these hoops to try to get the money. They couldn't get the money into Uganda at all because legally it wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. So they had to go and skate around and find all these little loopholes to get through. And we'll see if it's legal or not. But I'm going to tell you right now, if those folks are in legal jeopardy, I sure hope all you knuckleheads who are out there encouraging them to do all this stuff without doing any due diligence, I sure hope you knuckleheads are gonna put up the money to handle their legal bills and whatever else they have to deal with, because it looks like wire fraud to me, and not just wire fraud, international wire fraud, and that could turn into funding terrorism. And I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I am saying you don't even know who Boom Bash Daniel is. A grown man needed a child to do international banking for him.
Yep. And honestly, Duke, like I was gearing towards thinking that I was, completely wrong about all of this not that long ago. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a good thing, and people are trying to do a legitimate, nice thing. But it was that video asking for sponsorship that come to WrestleMania that really, really made me think, oh my God, the $10,000 wasn't enough. He's trying to get more money out of people. And that's what really made me go sour. Not, and even the videos that are posted thanking people, they're very vague. They're very short. If Sophia is being nice enough to donate T-shirts and to help streamline this or whatever, she deserves to be tagged in it. She deserves to be known for it. You would think that someone would want that. She's a social media influencer. She's very popular. She's got a great following. She did a nice thing. The way she looks at it, she did a nice thing. So I just don't understand how, you have a Twitter page, but you don't have your messages open. Jake has never been formally acknowledged on their page. They just say Jake from the US is for funding all this, who they admitted was a complete stranger. I don't know. I feel like something like this, if it were to happen and it was legit, I kind of feel like more people would have latched on, Duke. If you know what I'm saying, I feel like more people think the way we're thinking. They just don't want to put themselves out there. And there have been some people that have commented on there like, this is a scam. There have been other people that have asked, where is this money going? Can you show us? I mean, they said the money went to rent land. Okay, we have no way to ever really acknowledge if they were able to rent the land. We don't. We don't know if it's the same land. We don't know anything. It went for food. Okay, it went for food. Do we see the food? No, we don't see the food. It went for video equipment. Why did it go for video equipment? You already have the video equipment. It went to rent a place so they could put on a show. Why? That's not what it was for. It was to help get you guys get a ring so that you could find a new home, so that you could make better videos. So it like you said from the beginning, it's going from one thing to another to another to another to another. And I flat out asked on that video that he posted, why are you asking people for more money? Why don't you use the $10,000 that was so graciously raised for you for this? And that's when the video got deleted after that. So I don't know. This is some type of a scam.
Yeah, and I feel comfortable in saying that, yeah, I believe it's a scam as well. Not quite sure the extent of the scam. I definitely feel that there's something off with this Boombosh Daniel. And I invited the guy to come on the show, and to date, he has not taken me up on my offer. Surprise, surprise. Because I definitely got questions for you, Daniel.
He doesn't have any of his own personal social media anymore.
Well,
none of it.
It's not that he doesn't have it. He's not advertising it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Yep.
He's not advertising it. He's not making it. It's not even an email address that folks can reach out to to speak directly to. I'm not speaking to a 17-year-old kid in Pennsylvania when I want to speak to the 30-plus-year-old who's running soft ground wrestling. It's just not going to work.
And think about it. He asks for a sponsor. Why not Jake and Harmony? They put together a GoFundMe for him. Why can't they be his sponsor to bring him to the country?
So let me clarify what you're talking about there, because I know we're covering a lot. So let me backtrack here. Danny G pointed out the fact that Boombosh, once the goal for the GoFundMe of $10,000 was met and exceeded, Boombosh puts up another video stating that he's raising money so that he personally, not soft ground wrestling and all these young folks who are putting their lives on the line, throwing each other around and possibly getting injured in these quote unquote matches. But Boombosh himself wants to go to WrestleMania or some other wrestling event in the United States or really anywhere in the world. He said a lot there. So he's soliciting money for that. And he needs a sponsor to help him. meaning somebody who will literally take responsibility and say, yes, this person who's traveling from Uganda, who I don't even know, from a hole in the wall, I am going to keep them within my presence and be responsible for anything that happens to them. So a person's going to put themselves in legal jeopardy to bring this stranger over to whatever country, including the United States, they're in. And then a bunch of strangers are supposed to fund this person being able to go to a wrestling event. What the hell is he talking about? What is he talking about? It makes zero sense. And again, if you were doing it for the whole group, I could understand that. If you were, holding a tournament and okay, so-and-so wins a tournament and he's going to come along, I could understand that even though that's kind of weird, but I can understand that. But one would think that you'd be focused on developing this quote unquote wrestling promotion that you're trying to put on. You'd be focused on feeding and paying the people who are wrestling for you instead of taking money from them. If you could get more money from anybody, why wouldn't it go to the wrestlers directly? Nobody wants to fund your lavish trip around the world, buddy. What the hell are you talking about? That's scumbag behavior. That's scam artist behavior. He says that they call him Papa. You're a grown man and you got these folks calling you Papa. What? So what's going on with that? This is all a mess. So I'll just say this. Boombosh Daniel, again, you're welcome to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. I have questions for you. Just you and I. No, a 17-year-old kid is not invited. Harmony's invited, though. You can bring Harmony. I got questions for, well, she or he or they. I have questions for them as well. But the main point is there are a lot of inconsistencies with this whole story. And unfortunately, you have the young people who are putting themselves in the line of soft ground wrestling, who I feel bad for, because I hope they're not being exploited. And to some degree, they are. It's clear. This whole notion that you're going to use money to feed them for the next few months. What does that even mean? What food holds up for months, unless we're talking canned and dried goods that are properly stored? Where is it being stored? It sounds like you should be paying them a wage so that they can actively buy fresh food week to week. That would make sense. But it doesn't sound like there's any interest in doing that. It sounds like, hey, here's a couple of grains and a couple of cans of beans. Get the hell out of my face. And make sure you pay your fee so that you can come on this pile of dirt and throw yourself around and hopefully you don't hurt yourself, but you probably will. There you go. Meanwhile, somebody fund me to go to WrestleMania. Just me, not them. It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense, the whole thing. But to all the people who donated money, look, I got no bones to pick with you. Kind-hearted people trying to do the right thing. I get it. But, folks got to do your due diligence, man. Don't just take it word for word just because Sap and his friends over at Fightful, and I'll call them out directly because they did not do due diligence. They just started promoting this crap. And again, you don't respect your followers. You don't respect your folks who expect you to be the media people and to actually research things before you put it in front of them. I never tell my audience to support anything that I haven't personally checked out. It will never happen. Won't do it. And I think that lack of respect, yeah, that's the way you folks do business. So I'm not surprised. But again, you got a 17-year-old kid and Sap, I'm talking directly to you. You see the way that this kid talks to people. 17-year-old kid, suck this and get off so-and-so's that and all. He's mimicking you, Sap. I don't know if he's your little cousin or your little brother or what. He's mimicking you. You think you would have enough decency to tell the kid, hey, don't carry on like that, man. Don't do that. But instead, you continue to lead this kid down the wrong path, and that's unfortunate. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll continue to monitor this soft ground wrestling issue, and stay tuned. I think this is going to end up being one of the biggest stories in wrestling, for no other reason other than, unfortunately, if something tragic happens, or if there's a legal issue that pops up, a lot of people are going to have to turn around and look at themselves and say, hey, why the hell did we support that? Why didn't we do what Danny G did and start asking questions? Or ask somebody who will do some research and have them check it out. Again, and these are supposed to be intelligent people who love to cuss people and dox them and do all kinds of other stuff, but they don't even have the decency to do a little bit of research and make sure that they're not funding something that they shouldn't be funding something that's not on the up and up. Yep. So, Danny, any last words on that?
No, I agree. I honestly think, Duke, a lot more people think the way we do on this. But I will keep looking at it. I will keep monitoring. This conversation got a lot more interesting during it than I thought it was going to, which was funny. But now we know, and now we know what happened. And I do hope we see a wrestling ring there. I do hope that SGW can turn themselves into a good business, and it can become a good thing. I really do. I don't see it happening.
Well, I mean, Danny, where the hell are they going to store the wrestling ring?
I know.
It's so ridiculous. You know how many I've had world-class trainers on this show. We built this show off of people who promote wrestling,
yep,
who train people. We've had people explain in detail what a wrestling ring is and what it takes to maintain it, discuss the cost, discuss the types of rings out there and the differences and why you got to have such and such and what, right?
Oh,
how the hell are they going to maintain the ring and where are they going to store it?
Yeah, I just Googled it for the heck of it, and it looks like it. Like I said, the price starts in the United States at $10,000. That's where it starts,
and that's for a good ring. Yeah,
you're right. That's probably for a good one. But I mean, I don't know what it entails of like maintenance and stuff like that. But I know it. Like you have to set it up before the night starts, and then you have to take it down, and you have to do a lot of other things with it. And if it's good, you can't just leave it outside in the elements. I know
that's the best part. They're paying rent for open land.
Yeah, I mean, I know the weather. I mean, the weather looks like it's beautiful there regularly, but I would imagine
until it rains.
Storms. I would imagine they do get some rain, but
it's all ridiculous, bro. Let me tell you something. I don't even think they're going to get a ring.
No, I really don't either. It's in my heart of hearts. I really don't think that that's going to happen. I think that it'll be, well, we tried, but I mean, one of the other posts on there was, the ring was on the way from.
Yeah. Where is it? That's a good point.
The ring was on the way. Well, where was it coming from?
Yeah, that too. And who's going to help you set it up?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the sad thing is, it looks like it's kind of fun to watch. I mean, this is stuff
of course
my friends did as kids.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And, we were stupid kids.
Backyard wrestling.
We didn't care about dropping each other on our heads and all that. But I mean, I was watching, one of the videos where they were practicing, and they're practicing like suplexes, backward suplexes. And these guys are getting the wind knocked out of them, landing like right on the back. And then, I don't know, maybe I'm making a bigger deal of this or nothing, but then it was afterwards, they're all getting like hosed off with a big fire hose. And I'm like, you don't have showers? You don't have somewhere where your people can clean themselves up afterwards?
Well, if you're going to pay rent a building, rent a facility, don't rent open land. There's something about that does not make sense to me. And if you can build a mock wrestling ring with the post and all that, I sure hope you can find a way to build a shelter.
Yeah, to put it over it, to do something with it. It's just, I don't know. It just seems very bizarre. And honestly, if you want to set up a GoFundMe, there are plenty. There are plenty of other charitable organizations, I'm sure, wrestling related in America that you could have helped with. I mean, the wrestling club that you that you promote every once in a while. Those guys seem like legitimate guys down there.
Yeah, but you got to remember that's through a school.
Yeah, that's true.
It's vetted.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You can donate to the school, and the paperwork's all straight. It's basically a government entity.
Yeah,
for lack of a better term. So that's something legitimate. Let me tell you something, Danny. If I would have done my research and found that Soft Ground Wrestling somehow, some way was a registered charity, then I would have came back to you and I would have said, yeah, that looks all right. It's a charity. What are you going to do? They got their paperwork straight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have that much.
No. It says there were. It used to say on the Twitter that it was a community-based organization. now it says they're a backyard wrestling group.
A community-based organization.
Yeah,
give me a break.
Organization doesn't charge people.
The lies continue, except for the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Except for the wrestlers, except for the people doing the stunts and all that.
Yeah,
they get charged.
I know.
Right?
I mean, I'll tell you what. The performers, my God, they are in great shape. Wow.
Yeah, great. I just hope that somebody who knows what they're doing helps train them. I mean, we know they're going to get injured because even trained people get injured all the time.
Yep.
Who's going to pay for those medical bills?
I know. Because someone is eventually going to get dropped on their head. Or who knows? They may already have. And
I'm sure they've already, there's been some major injuries. I would not be surprised. And then let's go back to the original other thing. Because there's a lot of folks who like to fancy themselves being some kind of social justice, experts, so to speak. Did anyone ever ask Boombosh Daniel his stance on LGBTQ+? Did anyone even think to ask that question?
No.
Because Mr. and Mrs. Social Justice out there, I'm just curious. Some people live it and are serious about it. And then you have other people who they put it on like a pair of socks and they take it off and whatever, move on to the next thing. And that's unfortunate. But there's just a lot of that kind of nonsense going on. If you really knew whoever the hell this guy was, if you knew anything about what's going on currently in Uganda as a nation, I don't think the majority of the folks who contributed to that GoFundMe would have done it. I think they would have said, hey, you guys are going to have to work through a reputable organization, reputable charitable organization, so that we know that the money is going to be used properly. So it's unfortunate. Will Ospreay and Jordan Grace and these folks, it's unfortunate. I think they were taken advantage of. The folks who donated money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that we were able to save you, Danny G, because that would have sucked, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I honestly, I've had to refrain from commenting on some of the things where they're tagging Triple H and they're tagging The Rock, come help us, come save us. I'm like, guys, there's no way. First of all, there's no way they're seeing that. Second of all, there's no way they're going to offer you any help. And, I'll say this again. I feel something like this would have picked up much more mainstream press, I guess is the word to use, for what it is. If you got people like Ospreay and Jordan Grace, who, whether we think that they're superstars or not, they're known wrestlers and they're good wrestlers. Why didn't more people jump on? Is the way that I'm thinking about it. They're all friends with each other. They all live in the South next to each other. They're all friends. But why didn't they get more help? Instead they get Joey Janela volunteering to go over there.
Listen, Joey Janela, I completely support you going over to Uganda. I think this would be a great case study.
Nick Gage, and look, do you want to see Nick effing Gage go to Soft Ground Wrestling?
Please do.
Absolutely.
Please do.
Go.
Please. Go. Let's make sure that the media over there does a big presentation about it, so everybody out there knows that you're there.
Go.
And let's see what happens.
Go, and don't come back.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Let's see if they're able to go over there and have a safe time and get back in one piece without any interruption.
Yeah.
Because I asked that question too. Is Boombosh Daniel, all these wrestlers that he keeps inviting to Uganda to come to Soft Ground Wrestling, knowing the issues with terrorism and kidnapping of Americans and all this other stuff, is Boombosh Daniel, does he have a safety plan? how,
I know.
how is he going to protect everybody?
I know. I know. Well, there were some videos that were posted of tourists watching them, and they had the tourists cut promos. So,
yeah.
They were from Germany or something. You know, it's interesting. It's fun. It's cool to see. You know, the love of wrestling, and you get things. Oh, they're doing this just for the love, or just for the love, but there's more to it than that. I feel like there's false hope, unfortunately, for a lot of the people in SGW. There's like a false hope that this may turn into something more than it isn't. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll turn into a touring company in Africa, which would be great. That would be.
I would be completely 100% behind that, as long as it's done in a reputable manner.
Of course. Yep.
And that's been the foundation of everything that I said. We got to make sure this is reputable. We got to make sure that it's on the up and up. It's legal. We got to make sure. And look, I'm sorry. Stop soliciting people. Stop begging for money.
Yeah.
Boombosh, you're some kind of businessman, bro. We've done the research. We can see that you're some kind of club promoter and all this other nonsense. You've been doing it for years. Start selling tickets, bro.
Yeah.
Start selling tickets.
Yep.
And until you do that, no one should be donating money going forward. No one should be donating money going forward anyway. You got 10 grand.
Yeah.
Give me a break. You don't need another dime. You need to start fishing for yourself now.
Exactly.
You know? Give me a break.
You're right.
Anyway.
You're right. Why not? Yeah. You're putting on your first show. Charge people. Make money.
Imagine that.
Make money off of it.
Imagine that. And then pay the wrestlers. Imagine that too.
Pay the people who are putting themselves out there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're not really wrestlers because they're not properly trained. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. These are folks who are mimicking wrestlers, but they're not wrestlers, folks. I mean, soft ground wrestling is not a wrestling promotion.
I'll tell you, I don't. Sometimes I was watching one of the videos. It don't look like they're mimicking. They look like they're hitting each other.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, you're setting people up for failure when you don't train them properly. There's a reason why there are wrestling schools.
Oh yeah,
you know, there's a reason why those things exist.
Mm-hmm.
But to be continued. I know we just did a whole episode on this, folks, but I'm telling you, it's going to end up being one of the biggest stories in wrestling. So we want to make sure we're on the record on this as time goes by, because if this turns out to be what we speculate it is, that's going to be a big deal. And you can bet all mainstream are going to be talking about it. And this kid, who has an underdeveloped brain, by the way, this kid, Jake, what are we doing to his future when somebody's not steering him away from getting mixed up in nonsense like this? It's crazy.
I'm a parent. I have a big family. I have children in that age range of what Jake is. And if this was one of my children, I would have concerns. So that's all it is. I'm not trying to, criticize this organization. I'm not trying to shut it down. I'm not trying to get them to stop doing what they're doing. That's not what this is at all. I just want to know that it's being done for the right reasons. That's all. And anybody who wants to talk to me about it, anybody who wants to DM me and ask me about it, go ahead, do it. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not going to hide from it. I just had general questions. Like I said from the beginning, I was ready to make a donation. I really was, but I kind of wanted to make sure that my money was going towards the right thing. That's all.
It wasn't going to fund Boombosh Daniels' world tour.
Exactly. Exactly.
Danny G online. Everybody want to reach out to you? How can they do it?
You can find me at Wicked Smart on the X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it now. That's pretty much where I do just about everything. I don't, I have an Instagram and stuff, but I just post, nonsense like food and my cats and stuff like that. So nothing crazy there. But yeah, I'm willing to talk to anybody about this. I'm not going to block you. I'm not gonna come at you. I mean, I'm not sensitive like the rest of the IWC. You can actually have an adult conversation about wrestling. You can actually have an adult conversation about these things, and you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree on it, but You don't need to become enemies just because you disagree on things. There's no reason for it. Social media can actually be a pretty fun place when it's not the cesspool it is 98% of the time.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.